might I say. Okay. All right, so if you have not copied down this, you need to copy this down in your notebook. Okay, so all my next periods, just hit pause and copy it down. Great, it's copied down. Here's example 1. So, what was step 1?
Move all terms to the same side of the inequality.
Move all terms to the left side of the inequality, right? Say right there, step 1. Okay, so, AKA, that just means that you're setting it equal to 0. So goofy to do that again. Okay, so we need to factor this. So, we get our cute little, so this is step 2. That's why I numbered these here so that you could keep track of which step we're doing. So, step 2, let's factor. This is a, quote, easy kind, because you have a leading coefficient of 1. So we're going to multiply to x squared by x and x. But what multiplies to a negative 4 that adds to a negative 3? Negative 4 and a positive 1. Right? Good old multiplication facts. As I said before, G-O-O-D-J-O-B.
Yes.
Okay, so that was step 2. What was step 3?
Graph each solution on a number line.
Graph each solution on a number line. Okay, but the first thing that we need to do is figure out what the solutions are. If I were to solve this guy, right, set it equal to 0 and solve, what would x equal? A positive 4. And if I were to set this guy equal to 0 and solve it down, what would x equal? X equals negative 1, right? That's just what we were doing in 12.4. So now let's get a cute little number line and put those on there. So I have a negative 1 and a positive 4. I don't care if they're actually where they're supposed to be. Okay, so you just put those, whatever answers you get from up here, put them on a number line. Now, should these get open or closed circles? Closed, right? So we're like literally remembering everything you've ever been taught. If there's an equal to bar, they get closed circles. If it was just strictly greater than, it would get open circles. So we're going to put a closed circle here and a closed circle here. So far, are you with me? Any questions so far? All right. So we need to figure out which space to are our solutions. So we've got to try a number in each of these things, right? Test an x value, that's step 4, from each interval to tell whether it's part of the solution. So here comes step 4. Okay. What would be a number over here? Negative 2, negative 3. All of those would be good options. Pick one. Negative 2, I love it. So I'm going to plug it into the factored form because I feel like that's a little bit easier. So here, negative 2 minus 4 times, we're trying negative 2. Because I didn't want y'all later to be like, where did we get negative 2 from? We're just picking that number because it's on the side of negative 1. Okay, and then negative 2 plus 1, what we're trying to determine is that greater than or equal to 0? Well, negative 2 minus 4 is a negative 6. And negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Well, what is negative 6 times negative 1? A positive 6. Is positive 6 greater than or equal to 0? Life is good. So that is part of our solution set. So we're going to shade that way. Do you remember shading inequalities in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2? Yes. It was your favorite. Okay. So what's the number between negative 1 and negative 1 and a positive 4 that I could check?
0.
Like a super easy one. 0, right? I always pick 0 if I can. But yes, 2 would work as well. You could pick 1 or 3. But I'm going to try 0. I'm just picking that number because it's in between these two numbers. So here I have 0 minus 4 and 0 plus 1, and I'm trying to see, is that greater than or equal to 0? Well, what is this going to give me? Negative 4 times 1. Is that greater than or equal to 0?
No.
That's going to be a negative 4. Negative 4 is not greater than or equal to 0, so this section does not work. No numbers between there will satisfy this inequality. You could have picked a positive 2 and it wouldn't work either. You could have picked a 1 and it wouldn't work either. No number in between there is going to make this inequality happy. Okay, we need to pick a number to try over here. What's a number that we could try over here?
5.
Sure, let's try 5. Try 5. So I have 5 minus 4 and 5 plus 1. We're trying to see, is that greater than or equal to 0? Well, this is going to give me a 1, and this is going to give me a 6. Is 6 times 1 greater than or equal to 0? Yes, life is happy there. That makes that inequality true. Okay? So once you get your answer mapped up there on the answer line, we just have to now translate this from a number line into actual math. And notice in step 5, I did say that we're using interval notation. One of the TEKS that I have to teach you, the Texas Essential Skills and Knowledge, or Knowledge and Skills, says I have to teach you in interval notation. So you must write your answers in this way, because that's what the state tells me I have to do. Step 5, using interval notation. Let's talk about this part of the number line. What x values is that? Negative infinity, right? It's coming from negative infinity, and we always use parentheses with negative or with infinities. And where is it stopping? Negative 1. What kind of symbol do I use for a closed dot? A bracket. Do you remember how to say and in math? It's the U for union, yes. Union. Okay. Then over here, where would I start up again? 4, what symbol am I using there? Bracket. If those were open circles, what would I use? Parentheses. And it's going to positive infinity. We always use parentheses with infinities. That is how you would express your answer. A lot of steps, but not terrible, right? If you understood what we did last time with the factoring and everything, not terrible. Yes, ma'am?
Is that all that we did?
That's it. That's done. That's done. Deep breaths. Any questions? Ms. Cleveland, how did you? How did we get from this step to this step? Why did we? Yes?
The 5, whenever you did the 5, why did we do the 5 again?
Here?
Yes.
We needed to pick a number on the left side, we needed to pick a number in between, and we needed to pick a number on this side.
Oh.
5 was on this side of 4. You could have picked 6, you could have picked 100.
Yeah.
Okay? Good question. Any other questions? Ms. Cleveland, why did we? How did we?
Do we have to draw the number line there?
No. If you can get from here to here, show your work somehow. I don't know a better way to do it though. Like that's what my brain needs, but your brain may not need that. Okay? Ready for the next one? Let's try it again. Okay, let's see another good example. Here we go. Here we go!
Have you seen that there's going to be a new Dora movie?
They need to quit.
It's a live action.
I do not like this live action trend. Alright class, get it together! Future classes, if you're looking for a class to get frustrated with, this is 4A.
My name is
Wow, way to just.
I just added them. Okay,
added me so hard. So sorry.
You just like yeeted me under a bus there.
it happens. Alright, here's a new problem. What is step 1?
Get everything on the left side.
Set it equal to 0, right? Get everything to the left side. That step was already done for us in example 1, but it's not here. How would I make a 0 on this side? I saw people trying to divide and get goofy today, so I'm so grateful that you all said subtract. So this is going to give us x squared, that's step 1 by the way, x squared minus 8x, and then this is going to give me minus 20 is less than or equal to 0. Oh yeah. Okay, step 2, factor. So this is another easy kind because the leading coefficient is 0. So my first positions are just going to be x times x. What factors of negative 20 sum to a negative 8? Negative 10 and positive 2. Okay, Ms. Cleveland, I'm a little slower than that. So is there an easy way to review that? Well, no, you should know your multiplication tables, but yes. Okay, so a good tip there is if you take this value right here, okay, this is a calculator trick, and you do that number divided by x in y equals, it'll give you all of your factors. Okay, so if I go to y equals and I do negative 20 divided by x, okay, so I just put that in. It's always the number over x. So you could put in 50 divided by x. Did you get your hair cut? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Whatever number is there, if you're trying to see what the factors are, you just divide it by x. Then you go to your table. So look here. 1 times 20. 2 times a negative 10. 4 times a negative 5. And then it kind of starts over, right? Okay. So don't worry so much about the signs there. Are there any of those that you could make into a negative 8? To a negative 10, right? So those of you that know your multiplication tables, this is really easy to do in your head. Those of you that ride the struggle bus with multiplication, here is a way that you can do that quickly in your calculator, okay? And physically see them to try to get the combination that you need, okay? So yes, this is a positive 2 and a negative 10. So there, it has been factored. Now we need to graph these on a number line, okay? Well, what would this actual number be? A negative 2, right when you subtract it over. And what would this one be? So let's put those on a number line. So we've got negative 2 and a positive 10. All right, open or close dots. How do you know? We have the equal to bar here. So because I have the equal to bar there, these are closed circles. So that was all step 3. So step 3. Step 4, now I need to test one number from this area. I need to test one number from this area, and I need to test one number from this area. Okay, you can test any number in that area. So what would be a good number to test from here? What'd you say? Negative 3, negative 4, whatever you want to do. I usually just do the next number, so I'm going to try negative 3. And I always plug it into the factored form. It would work if you plugged it in up here, but I feel like this is a lot easier, okay? Like the calculations you have to do in your head are much smaller that way. So if I try negative 3 plus 2, you have to be able to staple it, yeah, perfect, okay? And then negative 3 minus 10, is that less than or equal to 0? That's what we're testing. All right, well, negative 3 plus 2 is going to give me a negative 1. And a negative 3 minus 10 gives me negative 13. Is negative 1 times negative 13 less than or equal to 0? No. Now it's going to give me a positive 13. And positive 13 is greater than 0. So this one does not work. You with me there? Okay. Middle. What's a number I could pick in the middle?
0.
I'm going to use 0 just because it's easier. But you could pick negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to try 0 just because it's easy. 0 plus 2. 0 minus 10. Is that less than or equal to 0? Yes. Well, this is going to be 2. This is going to be negative 10. 2 times the negative 10 gives me a negative 20. Life is good. Most often, they're either going to be going away from each other like they did in example 1, or they're going to be going toward one another like they do here. I'll show you 2 examples where that's broken, okay, just because I like to show you the whole gamut here. But we're going to go ahead, just for fun, try this third one. What's a number I could try over there?
11.
Sure. Try 11. So if I do 11 plus 2, and 11 minus 10, is that less than or equal to 0? Well, this gives me a positive number. This gives me a positive number. Is a positive times a positive negative? No, so that doesn't work. So step 5 is to actually report your answer in interval notation. So how do you say from -2 to 10, including it? Bracket, comma, bracket, right? Because those are closed circles, we're using brackets. That's how you would report your answer. This isn't too bad. This is doable.
The only thing that has me confused like every time is something with the factoring.
Yeah. Y'all got to get over your hatred toward factoring. Like, y'all just got to embrace it and get good at it. It's never going away.
I know.
It's never going away. In your free time, factor. Y'all are laughing at me, but how many of you sit at a lunch table with your friends and all of you are playing on your phone? At lunch. Y'all at least have your phone out. Y'all are snap tweeting and Insta chatting or whatever y'all do, okay? So, why don't you get on like Khan Academy and like play those little quizzes and you're like, yo, just updated my status / practicing factoring, but nobody needs to know that, right? So what all the cool kids are doing out there in the land.
No.
Yes. Well, perhaps y'all just aren't cool kids and y'all don't know. And now I'm enlightening you. That's okay. You don't want to be cool then? All right. This is all you. I want you to try this example. Get as far as you can. We will go over it. But I want you to get as far as you can and see where the questions start. Example 3. 2x squared plus 5x is greater than 12. What do you have to do first?
Move everything to the left.
You're going to have to subtract a 12 first, okay? So don't skip that step. Get as far as you can. Pencils down when you're done. You're done meaning I'm stuck or I'm actually done.
Or like you're done with life.
Or I'm about to flip my desk. Yes.
Okay.
Does this work?
Yep.
She said she was going to show us a broken one.
This is not a broken one. This one should work. This is an easy factoring. People think I'm just goofy, that I'm breaking my neck. Some of y'all need to wake up. A few more moments. Pencils down when you've gotten as far as you can. I would leave it as a fraction. I don't know. Fractions are so much better than decimals. Just embrace them. 2 favorite F words. Factoring, fractions. Yes? Friends. Then it starts varying after that. Friends, family, falcon. Like, those are the next 3 usually. And after that, French fries. Frittatas. Frappuccinos.
Franklin.
Could be. See, it differs.
Franklin.
Okay, I see most pencils down. Let's start going over it. For first step, we have to subtract a 12 over, so we're really working with 2x squared plus 5x minus 12 is greater than 0. Yeah? Okay. Then we have to factor. What's the only way to get to a 2x squared? 2x and x. So then we're thinking, okay, there's a couple of different ways to do this. I'm going to switch over to pencil for this part. Right, to get to 12, which, how do I get my first term? First times first, right? How do I get my last term? Last times last. You wrote this in your notes 2 times ago. How do I get my middle term? Outside plus the inside, right? So, what multiples of 12, because those are the 2 numbers that have to go here, right? We've got 1 and 12.
2 and 6.
Thank you. We've got 2 and 6. Or we've got 3 and 4, right? Those are our only ways to get to 12. So we need to figure out which of those are going to go in these 2 spaces that my outside times my inside would give me what I want. If I put a 12 here and a 1 here, what is my outside going to be? 24x, and my inside's going to be, ooh.
Hello? That's weird because my phone.
I must have my iPad with me. Sorry, guys. Okay. So here, would a 24x and a 1x give me a 5? No. So that's not going to work. So what if I put the 12 here and the 1 here? What's my outside? And my inside? Can a 2 and a 12 make a 5? That's not a candidate. That doesn't work. Okay, see why I use pencil in math? Okay, let's put a 2 and a 6. What would my outside be? What's my inside? 12 and 2 make a 5. Flip it. Put a 6 here and a 2 here. Okay. What's this? And a... Is that a 5? No. Basta, yeah. Okay, here. If we did 3 and a 4, what's my outside? What's my inside? Oh, yeah. Right? I did review factoring by grouping on the board for those of you that feel like you need it. There you go. If you need factoring, well, I'm recording it for future classes. Okay. Remember, you do your first times your last term at the top, so we would do the 2 times the 12. Middle term is here. Rewrite your middle term using these. Factor the first 2, or group the first 2, group the second 2, pull out the GCFs, and boom. Okay? Most of the time, y'all don't remember those steps, so I'm just not teaching it anymore. We're factoring like this now. Trying to avoid front row over there. Okay. So now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. So we have our 3 and our 4. What do the signs need to be?
-3, 5, and 4.
Right, we want the 8 to be positive, so this 4 has got to be positive. We want the 3 to be negative, so this has got to be negative. Okay? You'll get good at that. Or just actually remember the method. Okay? So now let's set each of these pieces. When I solve this for 0, what is this going to be? we're going to end up adding the 3 and then dividing by the 2. So this is a positive 3/2. Over here, if I solve this for 0, I would get x equals -4. You with me so far?
Yes.
Not convincing. Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Yes?
How does 3 and 4 make 5?
It doesn't. -3 times 4 gives me my -12. But what is the outside? When I multiply my outside terms, what does that give me? 8x. And what would my inside terms, when I multiply those together, give me?
Oh, -3x.
And an 8x minus a 3x gives me my 5x. Okay? So, yes, that's exactly where I'm getting that. That's foiling. Okay? So, let's see here. I have -4, and I have 3/2. So now we need to test a number in each of those sections. Okay, are we going to use open or closed circles? Why? I don't have the equal to bar, right? So it is just open circles here. Now we need to try one from each of these. So what can I try over here? -5.
I felt so confident in that.
Okay, here, what can we try here?
0.
And what can I try over here?
2.
Sure.
I don't even know.
What is 3 divided by 2?
1.5.
1.5, so we can try 2. Okay, so test those really quickly. You can pause the video to finish trying it, if needed. Try. What does it look like?
Emphasize one.
She wrote it, and you didn't know what it was by now.
I have written it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times now. Okay, does the -5 work?
Wait a sec.
Okay. Let's see, 2 times -5 minus 3, and then -5 plus 4. Is that greater than 0? So that's -10 minus 3, that's -13. Times a -1. Does a negative times a negative make a positive? Is it greater than 0? This works. Let's try 0. So that's going to be, if I plug in a 0, that's going to be -3 times a positive 4. Is that greater than 0? Then over here, if I try a 2, 2 times 2 is going to be 4 minus 3. And over here we have 2 plus 4. Well, that's going to be positive, and that's going to be positive. Is a positive times a positive greater than 0? Yes. Yes. So now we need to write this in interval notation. How do I write this piece? Negative infinity until -4. What symbol? It's open circle. It's open circle. So what does an open circle get? Parentheses. Union 3/2 to positive infinity.
Oh, bless you.
Thanks. Coffee, whatever that was. All right. Miss Cleveland, how did you? Miss Cleveland, why did we?
Miss Cleveland.
Well, can't do anything about that, sweet girl. Yes. I'm sorry. You're good? Okay. All right. Other questions? This makes a little bit of sense?
Yes.
Clear as mud?
Yeah.
Mine's not clear.
Right.
Exactly.
So for some of y'all, this is clear as mud.
You never heard that before?
Don't say I never taught you nothing. All right. Now let's get into the weird ones. Let's get into the weird ones. Miss Cleveland, I'm still struggling with the not weird ones.
Oh, no, there's weirder?
This wasn't weird.
No, I mean, it's weird, but I don't want to go weirder than that.
Plus, it's it's like we're going to Austin. I love Austin, by the way. Okay. All right. Example, what is this, 4? Example 4. Let's get into some weird scenarios. Alright, so let's factor this. This one's an easy kind because we have a lead coefficient of 1. The only way to get an x squared is that x times an x. What multiplies to 16 but adds to a negative 8?
4.
Close.
Oh, one of them's negative.
Just one of them? Both of them are negative 4s. Very good. Okay. But hey, she beat Neha to the draw, so that's good.
That doesn't matter. A win is a win.
Oh, so now you're admitting to not paying attention in class.
Wow.
We don't even need other people to throw you under the bus. You're just like, here, I'm laying down. Okay. Boom, boom. Okay. So,
Wait a minute. Where's first step?
we don't need it because it's already set equal to 0. Okay. Shh. Get it together. Remember, this is 4a. Okay. So now, if I were going to put this on a number line, what number would I actually put on there?
4.
X equals 4. And what about here? Same thing, okay? So we only have to put one number onto our number line here because this is a special kind of trinomial. Does anybody remember the name?
Binomial.
No, trinomial means 3. Good. It's a blank blank trinomial. Perfect square trinomial. Very good. So glad you could join us. Okay. This is a perfect square trinomial. Okay. All right. So on our number line, shh, guys, it's hard to hear when you are talking on the video. Okay. X equals 4. Is this going to have an open or a closed circle?
Open.
Open. How do I know that, Juliana?
Because there's no line under the 0.
Boom. Okay, under the inequality symbol, yes, check plus. Okay. So now we only have 2 areas that we have to check. We have to check the number over here, and we have to check a number over here. What number could I check over here?
3.
3. You could check a negative 3. You could check 0. You could check anything. So check whatever number makes your heart happy. I usually always try 0. Hey, that's a T, Eric. That's a T.
Thank you.
You'll need to learn cursive. Okay, here we go. So if we have 0 minus 4 times 0 minus 4, is that less than 0? Well, this is going to be a negative, and this is going to be a negative. A negative times a negative gives you a positive, which is greater than 0. So that does not work. You with me? Oh, he joins us. Correct. And that would give me a positive number, which would be greater than 0. Okay, what's a number I could check over here?
5.
Sure. So here we have 5 minus 4 and 5 minus 4. Is that less than 0? Well, this is going to give me a 1, and this is going to give me a 1. 1 times 1 is not less than 0. That doesn't work either. So then you instantly start freaking out thinking you did something wrong, which is always good to go back and double check. But we in fact did not do anything wrong here. What is this telling me?
It's in one spot.
It's not,
It doesn't exist. There is no number that we can plug in here to, no, not undefined.
Impossible?
Or just no solution. Okay? Not impossible. Just no solution. Okay? right? There aren't any numbers over here. 4 has an open circle on it, and there are no numbers over here. There's no number that we can plug into this inequality and make that true. Okay? Questions, Miss Cleveland, how did we? Why did we? How do you?
If there was a closed circle.
Then the answer would just be 4.
Where are we?
Oh, okay.
Okay? You're in N229 at Timber Creek High School in North Fort Worth, Texas. Okay. He asked. Okay, now we just had a good question. Miss Cleveland, what if this were less than or equal to 0? What would our answer be then? It would just be 4, right? Because then that would be a closed circle, and so your answer would just be a 4. But as this is written, there's no solution. Okay? Want to try another weird one? That way you see it now and you don't freak out when you get to your homework and have to answer it 1 billion times.
Yeah.
This way I only have to answer it 1,000 times. Okay? All right, example 5, last one. X squared minus 4x plus 4 is greater than 0. Okay, do we have to do step 1 this time? Why? It's already set to 0. What do I have to do? Factor. This factors into x minus 2, another perfect square trinomial. Yeah?
How did you get the 2's again?
What multiplies to a positive 4 that adds to a negative 4.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, what is the only number that's going to go on my number line? X equals 2. They're both going to give me a 2. So really the only weird kind occur when you only have a perfect square trinomial, okay? So here, that's going to be a 2. Open or close circle? Open, because we don't have the or equal to. Okay, once I get my number line set up, what do I have to do? Pick a number over here, pick a number over here. What do we want to try for the left side? 1 or 0. So if I do a 0 in here, that's just going to be negative 2 times a negative 2. Is that greater than 0? Oh, yeah. So that works. Okay, I need to try one over here. What's a number I could try on the right side?
3.
Here. Okay, so 3 minus 2 is going to give me a 1. 3 minus 2 is going to give me a 1. Is 1 times 1 greater than 0?
Yes.
Ooh, life is good. All right. It is not all real numbers. Because why?
Open circle.
2 does not work. If I plugged a 2 in here, I get 2 minus 2, that gives me a 0. 2 minus 2, that gives me 0. Is 0 times 0 greater than 0? No, so 2 doesn't work. So what you need to do is you need to say, okay, because remember we're answering an interval notation, negative infinity until 2, with a parenthesis because it's not included, union 2 to positive infinity. That's how you say everything but 2 in interval notation. Now let's talk about that. Yeah, okay. A different example, let's say, alternate example. Let's say that it was x minus 2 greater than or equal to 0. Okay, we just changed the problem up a little bit, right? So then we ended up having a closed circle there. And so you literally would have the entire line shaded in. That is a situation where you would have all real numbers. Okay? Because it's everything to the left, it's that number because we'd have a closed dot on it, and it's everything to the right. That's an all real number solution. Miss Cleveland, yes. Okay, so you are going to pick up 2 things today in just a moment. Stay still. You are going to pick up the 12-5 assignment. Make sure you do that, okay? And you're also getting the review today. Everybody's getting the review. So the only people that get a new one next time are the people that were absent today. Okay, when is your test, A-Day? So B-Day's test would be on Monday. All right, come see me if you need help. Consult my tutorial calendar online. You may now come pick up all of your stuff over here.
Let's